How perfect. It's 300. That's 3 o'clock in the morning for all the rabbis that see this later. Um, Startling evening with no sleep and trying to work on this. Uh, guess what happened? So I was listening, and it's weird. I'm guided to the things that I watch. It's hard because I know I don't have that much time, so I let the Lord. Hey, how you doing? Damn, you're up early. Hang in there. Um, so I'm watching a rabbi who is on Tech Talk. He's a Tanakh Talk. He's on there all the time, right? He's a good dude. He's very thorough, right? But again, I can't fault somebody for something that's right in their face and they just can't see. But so he's talking about the book of John and how he thinks that John took some ideas from Philo, but corrupted the idea of monotheism because of, and again, gets all bent out of shape because of the word, right? Because it's the word. That splits God into too many entities, and he doesn't understand that word that he's talking about of God would be like that monotheistic thought, that monologue that's in your head that you're listening to. Okay, that's the word of God, literally to the place of the skull. And but the rabbi is talking about it, and he wow, he just put like so many nails in the coffin, if you want to put it there. Every time these people talk, I would, he started talking about a word, the word, what was the word he said? The word logos. He was using the word logos, and he said, "Oh, now there's two of you. Hi, three, four." Um, so, are you the binary? Are you the? Oh boy, here we go. Um, Man, it's early. What time is it in Israel? It's 10 o'clock in the morning there. That's 1,000. Exciting. All right, so here we are. Uh, Watching a rabbi this late morning, evening thing. What is sleep, right? I can do all that after I'm dead. Um, if only. So I'm listening to this rabbi, and he's talking about the book of John, and he brought up some things. Again, I'm not, everything I'm getting, I got to get in bits and chunks and pieces, and it just gets worse the further I go. So found out, in case you don't know, you're going to learn a little bit of history, sort of brief, but at least you'll get an understanding of what went on back there, right? So you got Philo, and he is actually a Jewish philosopher, but his viewpoints are seen as trying to somehow bring together Hellenistic philosophy and Judaism. He does this by embracing the monotheistic part and so on. That's Philo. Now, according to the rabbi, John, whoever wrote the book of John, because, how do we know? That, how do you say it? Whoever wrote it was either influenced by Philo or just flat out stole it and corrupted it. And he said, and that's obvious. And then again, he starts to lean on the idea of the word and so on. I can't understand, that the Son of Man is inside of us, right? The teachings of Jesus got all screwed up, and they should not have killed him, just as Paul says in 1 Corinthians 2:8. You can prove it all. I can do this, but I can't force anybody to listen to me. But it's sad because he starts talking about the word logos, and he says, and he's again banging on that door about the word. And he says, in Aramaic, he says, it's striking because it means exactly the opposite, where John perverts the idea that God could form as a man. The word in the Aramaic actually refers to protecting God from anything. And it's like, oh my God, the word can't change. It's like Hello. The Word is the Son, and the Son always does, without exception, what he sees his Father doing. And we just get that idea of seeing his Father, and you just picture Jesus like going, he lifted his eyes to heaven and he could see something that we didn't. Oh, what are you doing now, Dad? Oh, oh, yeah, that's right. Break the bread and get the fish thing going. Oh, hey, guys. You know, it's not like that. So it's very interesting to me, and perfect, of course, because everything is these two different sides. Jesus came trying to show us that we're fighting against the powers of light and darkness, and we don't even understand. You know, we just hear the word evil and we go nuts, man. It's like everybody loses their minds. And it's like, yeah, evil's a bad thing, but it has a purpose, and you have to accept. You have to accept that in the scripture it says that the Lord creates it, and that's bothering you. And it's like, oh, but once you reason it out, it's like, okay, I get it now. It's not good, but it's like a necessary thing, right? It's actually, believe it or not, where everything comes from. And this was something that Isaiah struggled with when he spoke of the Hebrew phrase is tohu va vohu. Okay, and man, I'll never forget when I found that phrase was the same night that I heard this lady singing in octaves. I don't know if I can do it, but she was like, and her she had like two tones going, and they were, man, it was just creepy. And they were talking about how they would pray when they would say this thing, and but it was about tohu vavohu means it's formless and void, right? That's the first part of that's the state of the world after the creation was started, because it says in the beginning, or if you really want to get technical, when God began to create is what it says, right? Now the earth is formless and void. Darkness was over the face of the deep. And it's like, all right, you would think that that's like the pre-creation state. But if you go into Isaiah, you see that darkness is a created thing, and so is evil, while light and peace are formed and made. And so you start to see the two sides of this. And I got a little worried. Well, maybe worried, maybe hopeful. I probably would have been like, yay, I found the part that gets me out of this. I found the hole in my theology. Yay, they wouldn't help me. Thank you, God. Oh, I'm sorry. I wasted 5 years of my life and destroyed everything over bullshit. No, didn't happen. He said that the Aramaic word was the opposite of it, which fits the two sides, light, dark, the opposing forces, and also the idea that, yeah, it can't change. You see, the sun, that's the thing. You have a spirit inside of you that has to serve one father or the other. It's just exactly as Jesus said. No one can serve two masters. Now think of that. It's a very confusing thing that he says. You'll hate one, love the other, despise one, and honor the other, or something. But put yourself in that position. Say, okay, I'm the Son of Man, and now I have to make a decision on which one I'm going to serve. And just think of it. It takes you a bit because you got to think of it. All right, I'll honor one and hate. I'll love one and hate the other. Right. So what does that mean? I'll love God and hate the other, or what happens? You'll honor one and despise the other. I think it is. I don't know. But if you put yourself in that position, you can easily see exactly why he said it in the way he said it, and why literally it's a wow, it is a choice. I mean, it really, really is. I was reading Ezekiel 33 like all the way to the end um, earlier, and it was just like blowing me away. It was blowing me away. And the reason why I read it is because earlier I just felt God, if I get those things too. I feel like the Lord's leading me to read something, do something kind of thing. I just, I, uh, something's going to be helpful, right? Like I said, everything just dropping into my lap over and over and from out of everywhere, just bits and pieces, and I can't escape it. And so there you go. Um, Now we have the connection to link Christianity, the Jews, and the Muslims. And all based on what? Thank you, Jesus. uh, I'm terrified. This is like what we've been waiting for, you know? And the sad thing is, it's been right in front of our face for so long. When it talks about the voice of many waters, it's just talking about the way that you speak to people, right? I mean, any Jew should be able to figure that out that knows anything about Hebrew when you start looking at the letters. There's seven Hebrew letters that come in two forms. One of them is mem, which refers to water. If you do a search for that, where it talks about separating waters from waters, it's kind of interesting that those two forms start to show up in opposing ways. And, that's what we don't get. When it said he founded it on the waters, right? Founded it is on the waters. That's the two different kinds of water, right? Bitter water, sweet water. Um, and interesting that how did you make bitter water sweet water? You just put a stick in it. It's a staff, right? You got to learn how to walk, I guess. Um, and then when it says, and he founded it on the waters and established it on the seas, right? Let's say it that way. And the seas are obviously the people. That's us. So it's, what comes from you. That's what Jesus teaching, right? Being as we serve one or of each, either Father, then coming from you is either going to be living water or death. And the thing was, is Jesus taught his teachings were about inclusion of everybody to the point of where he just said, "Look, I'm not going to judge you. It ain't my job. I don't do that. That's what the Father does. That's what that law is about." And then Paul even backs it up. You would think that Jewish people would like what Paul taught because in Romans 2:12 to 14, he basically he proves that point where he says that sin is the power of the law, which is to say you're not under the law unless you sin. It's kind of like, okay, be a good boy. And every Jew would love to hear that because it's exactly what it's about. It's, that's, Jeremiah 18, 7 to 10. If you do good, then I'll bless you as I said I would. If you do bad, well, then I'll repent of my blessing and give you something else to think about. And all in fairness, right? And Jesus said that, judge by your works. It's I don't know how this stuff got all twisted around, man, but it's like, wow. And I honestly, my gut feeling is, you know, Jesus just left too much mystery. He didn't, enough people didn't know what he was trying to show them. And it's a pity because it's nothing that's hidden from us. When he said any time will do, oh hell yeah, he was actually perfectly right. I think what happens is it just takes, when they talk about, something coming from the house of David, you got to remember the house of David is not a great house to be of, right? It even says the sword, doesn't it say the sword will never leave your house because you've spilt blood or something? So it's kind of like you're always going to have that law hanging over your head. You're going to need perfection because of what you did. You founded it on, yeah, not good, man. David was good and bad all at the same time. Probably one of the worst people you could. He stole. He took some guy's wife, man. That's like the worst thing you could ever do. Uh, at least he had enough mercy to kill the guy, instead of leaving him hanging around with a broken heart. That really sucks, right? Wow, man. But it was his, you know, when he was saying, search me, hey, I'm sure at some point he was just like, wow, what in the hell am I doing? But, he proved that he was an angry person because even on his deathbed, I think he wanted Solomon to avenge him, right? It's like, didn't he learn anything? I don't take vengeance on anybody. It just shows up on its own. People, I don't know, accidents happen. And it's not my business. I'm not into revenge. I'm not into judgment. I'm just here to show a gaping hole problem, and we're pretty much going to see that a book is going to be our demise. And I'm not saying that there's no God and the scriptures aren't important. I'm saying our misunderstanding of them is going to cause us some serious problems here. It's coming. Oh God, please, Lord, let your spirit change. Just make them be happy for some reason so they can all stop messing with each other. This is like exactly what Enoch would have seen, if he would have like been watching the news, right? In the book of Enoch, he sees the creation and the vision. And he's like, what does he say? He goes, "There's no division." And what people don't understand about when he says that, it's like, well, God doesn't want things divided. And it's like, yes, he does. He wants things divided into sheeps and goats. And in the end, the goats can do whatever they want because he don't care. He knows they'll learn on their own. That's why Revelation 22:11 says, if they're vile, let them be vile. If they're holy, let them be holy. If they're filthy, let them be filthy. If they're righteous, let them be righteous. And probably not in that order, but you know what I'm saying. And that basically sounds like, well, what is God just throwing in the towel? And it's like, no, that water that's coming from that throne will do both jobs. You just got to trust in that law. You have to trust in what God said. And Jesus reduced it to a one word: love. That's it. We love each other in this world. Well, I don't know. We're going to see a different place. But, we have to be fair and reasonable about what is love, right? I think love is anything that is peace. Where you start seeing you don't like what kind of love is going on over there, I don't know, then get away from it. Just leave it alone. If it's really that bad, it can't grow. Because if it's evil, evil divided against evil, if one of those trees is evil, then the other one's evil. Guess what? They won't have any fruit. Evil divided against evil will not stand. Problem taken care of. Move on. Move along. Move along. These aren't the droids we're looking for. So, but yeah, that was. I haven't listened. So if you want to hear the video, I would encourage you to give it a listen. It's worth it because you'll learn a little bit about Philo. And what I'm referring to is in my community line. I got some posts in there from like all the last ones, okay? Because I'm commenting on it. You can see my comments in there as well. But I would encourage you to watch the video because he gives a lot of background on Christianity, talks about Philo and how he influenced. And again, that's where the problem is. Philo was trying to you know, join Judaism and Hellenism so they could kind of see and the common ground. I mean, who made you, right? I think we're made of the same God. When the Spirit of life makes us move, I am sure whoever ever has that same exact spirit too, right? If there's only one God, that's the problem. Is that's the cornerstone that Jesus used, right? The brick to tie everybody together to say this is where the Spirit lives in this temple, you and I, and that's it. We're just like a bunch of churches walking around, I guess, if you want to look at it. And you shouldn't, Don't go beating up some other temple or something. If that temple happens to be defiled and you happen to see what uh, the bad image in there, just get away from it. Go in the other direction. It's like, in my temple, I'm dirt, okay? And then I have the Son of Man, right? And he's serving the Father. And what chooses that? Well, the Spirit is just there because that's why I've chosen to serve, our Father in heaven. If my works were different, well, then you can say, I suppose, I don't know, I guess there could be strange fire, right? You could say I serve, but your works don't prove it. And that's when Jesus says, uh, I didn't know you, which is basically, think of it as like when a man knows a woman and she produces fruit, same exact thing, except that it's a spiritual relationship, potentially with two different fathers. And that's actually where the harlot comes in, because if that person was double dealing, then they would be seen as engaging in harlotry or adultery, because they're working both sides of the fence with these two different fathers. When Jesus talked that whole relationship thing of, I came to start a war between a father and a son, he wasn't a home wrecker. He was saying, I come, you got to put yourself in the position where we start from. Born into this fallen world as devils. Sorry, it sucks to say that, but that's the best way to look at it. And we got to be reborn to the other father. That's all Jesus was teaching. So when you go to those extremes to just put things in perspective, hey, it's like this, and some people might need to be reborn, but those laws are already written on our heart. People just need to be woken up to see them, and not 300. Like I said, my clocks here, they're I don't adjust them. They I don't know. Not like I really worry about time anyway. I feel like I'm running out. It's frustrating. I can't wait to hand this to some theologian and whatever. And then I think once I do, I think I'm just gonna like disappear. Once I can get it loose, and then everybody will be like, "Where did this come from? Who did it?" It's like, I don't know. He told us, and it'll just like show up. And then we're all gonna feel really sad because all the prophecies are all true. Well, man, sorry. I lost my, I dropped. They're either doing maintenance or I'm having fun again over here. So life is good. Um, but yeah, what I was saying, I believe, was I would encourage you to watch the video. Sorry, I dropped connection, folks. Sorry, didn't mean to punch out so unannounced. But yeah, what I was getting to was I would encourage you to watch that video because it does. If you look in the community section where the rabbi's talking about the Book of John. Uh, Again, a lot of you'll get some of the structure. It'll give you a vision of where you can see where things kind of got screwed up. Okay, you got Pliny. He's trying to marry Judaism and Hellenism, at least so they can understand, right? See, that's the purpose of what the Jews are supposed to do. They're supposed to teach. That's the prophecy. The whole world will say, "Hey, show us your God." Grabbing onto his garment and going, "Hey, we want to know your God." Well, who in the hell wants to know the God that's being represented right now? Not too many people, because while he's boasted as being all powerful and everything, yeah, there's no evidence to indicate that, and it's our own fault. Okay, we're messed up. We Something got screwed up, but if you watch the video, you'll see that Pliny, he was trying to marry it, and Paul was doing the same thing. That's why he went I mean, now it makes sense, right? Remember when he went and talked to all the philosophers and whatever, and they said, "We'll hear you later on this matter." Well, why? Why would they just say, "We'll talk to you later"? Well, that's the interesting thing about philosophy and life. The Bereans, when it said they tested the scriptures every day, what did they do? You know, they cut a little piece off, dip it in some acid. Yeah, it's no pH value is no. If you live this book, you are testing it as it should be tested. Bring it alive, manifest it. Okay, realize that that thing that's supposed to allow you to do that is inside. You got to figure it out. um, and the sad thing is like I said, that's breath of life. So even if you see somebody that's in bad state of mind, that very same spirit is somehow in them, and it's just, what do you do? Got to help them find it, I guess, right? But so you'll hear about Pliny in the video, and then he'll discuss some things about John, and then the whole logos issue, and how in the Aramaic, the word he believes means the opposite. It doesn't. It locks in that whole idea where the son always does what he sees his father doing. In other words, in the Aramaic, the logos actually protects God, because the son can only do, as per that word, that link or relationship, right? Yeah, the problem comes in is when they call it the word. And I would say that the word could literally be like, that if you're this kind of a person, and not everybody is, and I think we should do a worldwide experiment. Do you have a voice in your head when you think? Not everybody does. I do. I look at something, and I just kind of pick up the phone. I'm like, kind of thinking to myself, and I hear it, right? I hear myself saying, I should probably give that person a call. I mean, sometimes I even say it out loud. Of the people that have that monologue in their head, what's like the percentage of people that have some kind of spiritual connection? Not only Christianity, just they, you know, is it because of that voice that, we have something, there's, because that's what I believe. Angels and your thought processes, the ideas that drive you, those are the angels that you're judging. You're the son of man. They're ascending and descending upon you and trying to get you to honor one father or the other, and you are judging them. You've been doing it all along. Maybe you haven't been judging good, right? So you're kind of serving the other guy, but that's where, in all fairness, this Christianity has turned it into like having to be so perfect before God. He's so perfect, he can't accept anything else. And then all I can think of is, well, what the hell did he make me for? Why? Why in the hell would he make a piece of crap like me if that's what he requires? Really? You didn't want to know where I came from and the kind of, yeah. Why does he's just, I don't know, maybe it's a Jesus thing. Jesus started with all the junk too, right? Tax collectors and that's pretty bad, man. Matthew robbing his own. Wow. Yeah, I can't do it. I had to quit a really good job when the tech support thing, I don't know, it just, they wanted to turn you into salesmen instead of helping people. And there was one time that I literally had one of my customers, he was crying by the time he got off the phone, because he called me, his internet connection is all jacked up. And it's like, you know what a white hat hacker is? It's like somebody who can get into stuff, but we don't, not malicious, right? It's like a technician that just, has scruples, right? Ain't gonna break anything. Anybody can get in there. Anybody can get in there, but if you can get in there and be of a help, well, guess what? You justified evil, I guess, then, right? You broke the law. You broke in and did good, right? You lied like Rahab. She lied to us. I knew she would never tell us the location of her home planet. Terminate her immediately. I recognized your foul stench when I came on board. Uh, yeah, we're in so much trouble. But anyway, um, so yeah, it's like this has all been hidden right in front of us, and we misunderstood, you know, our Messiah's teaching. Like, oh man, now and Paul even said that we are under a curse. He said that we're under a curse because of what we did to Jesus, and it's true. Oh, you're going to find out something very interesting. He says that the book of John was written in 100 AD. I struggle with that because in 70 AD, the whole city got like wiped out. Um, I can't. It just doesn't make any sense to me. Um, that long after, I'm sure there would have been some kind of mention or something, right? You would think. Uh, yeah. So it's like that's one of the things of timing there. But he does mention that Pliny and Jesus were actually contemporaries. They lived at the same time. So um, I don't know. Was Pliny the one who sent Jesus? Right? I go for the one of him who sent me, and we're thinking God or something, and it was like it was the Essenes through Pliny. I don't know, man. There's too many. There's too many. Ifs and possibilities. And the best thing is just figure out. Don't get hooked into conspiracies because then you're never gonna figure it out. All you'll do is you'll be drawn into the den of finger pointing where nothing happens but a bunch of devils going like this. He did this and that don't fit. And it's like, who cares? I don't care. Just fix it. Just fix it and make it work. It's not working. It hasn't been for 2 grand. 2 stacks. Big. I can't do it anymore. We have to stop this madness. um, and is there anything else in there? Uh, no, just like I said, loaded with a lot of history and things to think about, right? Um, but you do catch some, you will catch some hypocrisy because it's like, he says, we don't know who wrote these books and they were written when after and whoever. And it's like, well, I mean, even the Old Testament is like that, honestly. So what somebody says it was written? Do we really have any proof? It's just a bunch of say so who said, right? It's just one is older and I don't know, is looking at the role of entitlement in the from the wrong direction. You know, uh, if you're chosen to be a blessing, man, be a blessing. Like all out, 100%. And if somebody's unhappy, then figure out that it just must be your fault. You're not demonstrating God somehow. And even if it gets to the point of, hey, you're going to have to give them so much quail that they're buried up to the knees. But at that point, I guess then they're going to realize, look, man, it ain't their fault. They're giving us everything we want. We can't blame them. It's us. You gotta sometimes you gotta just love people into realizing what in the hell's wrong with themselves or something. I don't know. And you're not doing it for a mean reason. You're just trying to help them find, a stable path to walk on. Stop hurting themselves. Two fathers, two paths, living or dying. I'm gonna get out of here. It's like damn early. But I couldn't stop on that video. And then by the time he hit the end of it, I was like, I got to say something here because that was where he brought up that Aramaic word. And again, Rabbi thinks that it is reversed, but there's a reason for it. There are many actually. You want to talk reverse Hebrew words? Uh, I should. It's okay. I don't need to prove anything. I know if you go look, you'll find them. It's weird. It's like a word will mean light and dark at the same time or something. Or uh, I should collect a few examples though, because they're good to have. Um, yeah, even the language itself is designed, you know, to take things that look like they're one thing and make them connected to the other side or the other half. You know, uh, like any word that ends in ah, Torah, is feminine. Ruah, which means spirit or wind, feminine, because it ends in ah. The word Ra, which means evil, it's feminine because it ends in ah. But if you take ah all by itself, it means brother. So it's like, what? So it's yeah, if you had to understand, you know, Elohim and Yahweh Elohim are one. They're that's God, okay? It is referring to one. But the reason why those two names are used, because it would be like Elohim sees the creation differently than he would if he was looking with his Yahweh eyes. Yahweh sees good and evil and therefore can judge between it, see what's what, knows light and dark, good and evil, righteously address as per, you know, righteousness and all the qualities and things we would expect of our God, right? Whereas Elohim, from that set of eyes, if you want to look at it that way, uh, sees everything as good or very good. Now, what's the interesting thing? When did he say very good? When man was created, right? So if I had to look at something and see good and very good, but still just give them differing names because they are definitely different, the Lord would call good and very good evil and good. Because I guess good then has the opportunity to become very good. And so that's what the purpose of evil is. Evil is just the state of the start, the beginning, destruction. And then from that dust and rubble, here he comes. That's our God. And he just does that over and over and over. And we're riding one of those loops. The prophecies will just be fulfilled in various ways and over, and they fit so many different ways that you're going to have every kind of denominator. It's just to confuse you. It's like if you're trying to figure out God, forget it. Never going to happen. Just listen to mom, just like Mary said, and do everything he tells you, which then got reduced to simply love each other. That seems pretty simple to me. So, um, but yeah, give the rabbi a shout out. They're all good over there. Like I said, they're working. Will and everybody, we're all trying to get at the same thing. I've just unfortunately found some stuff that's going to upset the apple cart, and I can't let go of it because I know what it is and I see it. And well, I'll just look at it this way. I believe in perseverance. So if this is wrong, or if it's of man, then it'll fail. If it's of God, it won't fail. So that means I'm going to have to do this all the way until I die. And if it does happen to fail, I'll tell you what though, on my dying day, um, I really don't want to be driven or led to say anything like, why have you forsaken me? Because I really don't want to ever feel like I've ever been forsaken by God, even in the worst case scenario. But I will feel as if the people I've tried to talk to have forsaken themselves, and simply because I'm just somebody, the nobody, I guess, who would be found to go. because somebody has to be found. And so I searched, and nobody was found to go, because even nobody in God's world is somebody. Anywho, well, I'm out of here. I love you guys. Hope you have a great day. It's what, Tuesday? Uh, yeah, I don't watch the news. Got a few things I got to take care of. Time sensitive, you know. I got a few weeks. I love you guys. Shalom. Shalom.